Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's episode of the Keynote Curators podcast. I'm Seth Deckman, I'm your host, and it's happy hour and the drinks are on me. No, I'm just kidding. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the value of a keynote speaker. And while I did say at the outset that this is a podcast, this is more of our live. This is our Keynote Curators live every Wednesday at noon Eastern. Feel free to chime into the chat. You can direct message us. You can visit our website. Any participation is encouraged. And if you can't make it live, then you can certainly view this and listen to it on all of our channels after the recording is posted, which is immediately afterwards. So today I want to talk about the value of a keynote speaker. There's not one way to skin a cat. There's a million ways to slice a loaf of bread, and there's a million ways to take a look and kind of analyze and frame up what a keynote speaker's value is. And I'm coming from a meeting professional's perspective and would love your comments on this at any point. What we look for is what can they provide for your event, for your program, for your agenda, for your messaging that's going to forward your organization's mission. Now, that's very general. If it's a for-profit business, is it going to move along your business initiatives, your business ideas, your services, your product in the name of marketing or sales or any other realm? If it's a nonprofit, is it going to move along your core values, your core virtues, maybe reaching out to donors? So at the outset, one of the key ingredients is when you're choosing, selecting, considering, looking for a keynote speaker, you always want to see what value are they bringing that can align with, support, and really foment, move forward your organization's mission, your organization's business activities. And in the case of a nonprofit, like an educational institution, their business activities can still be mission critical activities. When I provide a curated list of speakers, I take into account the specifications of my client's event, the location, the time of year, who they've had in the past, where they fit in the agenda, the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, what they really are looking for with regard to this speaker. I take all that information in, and then I begin to curate the list. From my client's perspective, and I've had nearly 20 years of experience with that, they're valuing certain aspects of that decision. There is, of course, the economic aspect, the literal aspect of how much they cost, whether it's $10, $20, $50, $100,000. That could be how you value a keynote speaker. But it goes well beyond that. It could be the immediate response or evaluations after the speech that give you data and a certain type of proof or evidence of whether they were a success or not. And then, of course, there's the longer term. Is the message still resonating with your attendees? Are they mentioning the speech or really the takeaways from the speech? So there's a lot of ways to look at it. When I talk to my clients, like you who are listening in, meeting planners, meeting professionals, event planners, when I look to them and say, okay, this is what you need, this is what you say you need, this is what you're looking for, I ask a question. I say, there's kind of a couple of ways, things to consider. Do you want rich content, takeaways, immediate, impactful, deployable items that they can use right away, which is more specific to the audience? Or do you want a pure, inspiring, motivating, lift up human interest type of story, perhaps, that breathes life into the room? Sometimes I get the answer, we want something right in the middle, or they want a little bit more towards the content with a touch of the inspiration and motivation, or more inspiration. And if the takeaways are there, that's great. So when you look to value your choice, it's not just the price, and it's not just whether it's a name or not. It really is what you want the message to do once it hits the audience and how it resonates with them. So it's not a linear type of valuation where you're saying, okay, I paid this much and did I get that back? We put enough seats in, we got enough increase in registration because it was a name. Because often with a name, you might be buying the name, but it might be while it's a memorable experience, the takeaways might not have been as rich. When you have a very rich, content-laden speech, it might not be as attractive to people to register just based on who the speaker is. The higher the fee, and the more you get into like a celebrity or a name, they're less inclined to do a prepared speech. So be prepared to provide a moderator, whether it's an in-house, which I don't recommend, but can work, or somebody outside who's a professional moderator that can really drive the conversation and get the message across that you really want. So when we're thinking about how to curate the list for you, we're taking into consideration all those elements so that the value that you want and what you value in a speaker for your event is delivered. Now, when you dial both up, the motivation and the content, your choices get reduced. Some clients of mine really value uniqueness, and that's looked at differently by everybody. There are people that play music. There are people that paint on the stage. There are rappers. There are pianists. There are all sorts of musicians, artists, performers. But is it just for the sake of that? Is that just the hook, or is it enough? And it usually is not. So what I recommend is, especially on the turn from virtual, because virtual, what I found was my clients and most of the clients of the speakers that I work with were looking to do a moderated conversation, because these days anybody can look up a TED Talk and anybody can go to a website or Google a speaker and find some type of video. So as the buyer and the person hiring the speaker, you want to make sure that they're dialed in to your event and your content. So an additional value that you can bring into them, whether it's virtual or in person, is to make sure that they're aware of your audience, make sure that they're fully tuned into what's important in your industry, what kind of initiatives you have, so that they have a sense of who they're speaking to and what the ecosystem, what the context that they're speaking into is. This will make a great deal of difference. We've talked about this before on LinkedIn Lives, where you have to have a pre-event call and they should be asking the questions themselves. And if they don't, that's a red flag that you need to make sure and understand that their requirement is to dial into your audience. They should be asking questions like, what's a home run for you? What do you want them to take away? What are the things that I should avoid? What are the things that I should focus on? They should maybe even be asking to speak to some other attendees to kind of be able to dial in and bring more value. What I wanted to mention today, the value of a keynote speaker, the reason I wanted to do that is because we often, in a very commoditized world and a very competitive marketplace, look for price right away. It's important, it's paramount, and it has its need or requirement that drives the choices you can look at, but it shouldn't be the only thing that's valued. So with that, I just want to leave you with thinking about a little bit thoughtful and an insight into how a keynote speaker's value is taken, because it's not just the price you pay, and it's not just the name or the fresh book that they wrote might be. It's also, how are they impacting the audience going forward? That after this person's speech, our attendees, our clients, our members, whoever was in attendance was able to utilize what was said or what was delivered in a way that made an immediate lasting impact on their on their organization's activities. And that's where the real value is. So I bid you adieu. I thank you so much. And please, again, reach out to us when you can, on whether it's a direct message, it's an email. Look for us on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on our website, thekeynotecurators.com. We appreciate you coming by. And our mission is to make you a better and smarter meeting professional, and that all things to do with keynote speakers you can find here with us and learn and expand your capacities along the way. So thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.